Hello and welcome back to Drawing Down the Moon. Today we are going to be drawing down the Capricorn full moon that we have going exact roughly 24-ish hours. I'm recording this on Wednesday, July 9th. The moon's already in Capricorn in the early degrees, and it will go exact tomorrow, Thursday, July 10th. At approximately 3:30 Central Time at around 18 degrees of Capricorn. And this is kind of a big one. This is our first full moon with Jupiter in Cancer. And of course, Jupiter is co-present for this. So anytime we have a full moon, it is when the moon and the sun are opposite from each other in the sky and in opposite zodiac signs. So right now the sun with Jupiter is in Cancer, and the moon is in Capricorn, which is across the way in the zodiac. So full moons are times of when things are illuminated. So if we just literally think about what the moon is doing, it is at its brightest, at its fullest, and it's not really like a point of like where we're trying to control things, right? It's kind of a point where we're observing and seeing what has come from the things that we've started and been working on leading up to this point. It's a culmination, it's a peak experience, and so it's a good time to really just like look and see what's been happening in that part of your chart. You can look at what house Capricorn is in for you and really get like a good feel for what's been going on in that area of life. Like what kind of seeds have you been sowing, and what is the fruit that is now visible on the plant? And Capricorn is kind of a doozy because it's our one sign that is actually ruled like by both malefics. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, that's its home sign, one of two home signs. It also rules Aquarius, and Capricorn's also co-ruled by Mars. So it's kind of interesting. The juxtaposition here is that like Cancer is the sign of the moon, and when the moon is in the opposite sign of Capricorn, it's said to be in its detriment, meaning that it has kind of a hard time with doing the things it likes to do there. It has to do them in a different way. And the moon is all about like how you nurture yourself, like mothers, being cozy and at home, and Capricorn is literally the opposite. If it's thinking about it being ruled by Saturn, it's like Saturn was the farthest away traditional planet that they could see in the sky, 2,000 years ago, and so it's kind of associated with like long journeys and like distance and isolation. All of those things are very like the very antithesis of Cancer and that cozy protective home shell that is with you wherever you go. So going back to Capricorn being this like double malefic sign, it could be easy to get a little intimidated by that, but it's actually quite interesting because even though that's what the essential dignities say about Capricorn, it's actually a very generative sign. It's a cardinal sign, just like Cancer, where it likes to start things. It's an earth sign, so it's like really the place where the earthly material realm like comes into being, and I don't think it gets much more fertile than that. So I think we have to think about the malefics here in a different way. you know, like Saturn being the long-term dedication that it takes for anything of value to really come to fruition. Like thinking like farming as a really literal example, like you have to like tend to your crops every day. You have to tend to your animals every day. It's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of difficult, unpleasant things involved in that, including a lot of death. And but you can't have the fertile like harvest without it. So there's that. And then there's Mars, which is literally like the energy needed to do the things. You know, like Capricorn is, you'll often hear it called like a world builder, or like, that's like the phrase that comes to mind, where, you know, you've got the long-term plan and then you've got the energy to execute the plan with Mars. So yeah, it's very generative in that way. And there's also something about like the best things in life being things that we've really gotten clear about, things that we've really spent time perfecting. And Saturn and Mars are really good at that. They're really good at taking away the unnecessary stuff, honing in on what is actually important, and kind of like aligning your vision with tangible action. So I think, yeah, Capricorn is a good opportunity for us to really rethink the roles of Saturn and Mars and how they play out in our lives. And, you know, think of them in like the necessary sense, or like energies that they are. So Saturn and Mars are playing a huge role right now in this lunation, in the astral weather in general. We've got Saturn almost conjunct Neptune in Aries, ruling this. And then we have a Mars in Virgo, also ruling this. And it's very dynamic because the Aries stuff is getting the square by the moon, so like there's some tension there. Then we have Mars also like almost, it's getting pretty close to like an exact trine from Mars within a couple of degrees. So the malefics are maleficing and they are afoot. I do think that it kind of like, in some ways it's providing some stability here. So like the one thing is, with Uranus just moving into Gemini, things have been a little wild and unpredictable. But that right now is like not, there's no direct line of sight for Uranus to this lunation. It is kind of in a whole sign square with Mars. There might be some other things, but it's not like a direct hit for this lunation. It's like the moon and the sun can't really see it right now. So I think that does lend some stability. And yeah, for me it's like kind of like a watching and seeing kind of thing. There's a lot with full moons and like releasing. Like personally, I've just kind of like, you know, some things have been illuminated and some choices had to be made about like what is aligned with me right now and what isn't. And I'm guessing that's kind of like really similar for a lot of people. It's like, what is there anything here that like is not serving? And if it is, like using like the Saturn and the Mars to kind of remove anything that is just not in line. And that can be painful. It can also be very liberating. And yeah, I'm just thinking a lot about that liberation word, especially with Uranus and Gemini in my 4th house. It's like, for me, the phrase that keeps coming up is like, if it's not making me feel more free or liberated in some way, it has to go. And it might not have to go forever, but it's like getting deprioritized. It might not be able to go, right? Like, there are some things like my job where it doesn't make me feel super free, but it's also a necessity. And you know, it might just be more of a matter of reprioritizing. So I think that that's been a big theme with Saturn and Aries too. I feel like I was saying something similar around that whole transit with like, if it's not making you more free, like, it's time to put it down. So that feeling's coming up for me again. And yeah, that's kind of like the messages I've been receiving from the moon this week. So yeah, I feel complete with that. Thank you for drawing down the moon with me. If you like my work, I would really appreciate it if you showed me some love on the social medias. And if you're interested in like working with me, I've got lots of options over on my website. I do have some limited availability for one-on-one sessions, and I also have a lot of availability for my recorded ones. So those are really nice. You don't have to schedule anything with me. Kind of just like a little love note that you get to listen to at your leisure, revisit anytime. Super magical, like channeled messages, astrological takes on your birth chart. And yeah, if you're local, I am open to collaborating. I'm open to parties. That's been something I've been meaning to talk about more on my social media, so you might hear me doing that. And yeah, I think that's what I've got. It's a full moon, the energy is big. Make sure you take it easy, make sure you hydrate out there. Got a couple more bumps in the road coming up for July, and then August is looking a little bit nicer. So yeah, just stick with it. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.